Bonjour! Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage and another moped video. This moped is not mine, it actually belongs to a viewer of the channel. I was at a car meet last week in the A112 Abarth, and while parking the car I saw a father and son pointing at the Abarth and following me, and I thought maybe I know them from somewhere. I didn't really recognize them. Then I opened the door and it turned out it was some viewers of my channel. So that was the first time I have ever been recognized out in public by anyone. So to be honest, it made me a little bit proud. They found the channel because they own this Velo Solex. He asked me some questions about how to get it to work. This moped was the boy's grandfather, I think, and now he owns it and he wants to drive it around, but it doesn't work. So he asked me some questions about how to get it to work. From the symptoms that they gave me, I told them to try to fix the fuel pump because it didn't deliver any fuel. They tried to change the membrane and the plate, and they checked that the glass balls were still there, but they couldn't fix it. So they called me a couple of days later and asked if they could come and visit me. Then I could take a look at it. I thought it would be simple, so I hadn't planned to make a video on it. But it turned out to be a little bit more serious. I actually don't know what it is so far, but there's other troubles that I would like to fix on it. While trying to fix it the other day when they were here, I noticed that when I engage the engine down to the wheel and turn the wheel, the engine, now it works, but it pushes the engine away like this. That is very often due to missing springs at the front. And as you can maybe see on the camera, this is broken and the spring in here is missing. Then I noticed that the entire engine is loose on the frame and actually is pretty close to falling off the moped. And yeah, we decided that I would keep the moped for a while and fix those things, because it's pretty lucky that it doesn't work, because driving around with the engine loose like this could spell some pretty serious trouble. Remember, and I think I have told this story before, I actually once drove a Velo where the engine roll cage thingy fell off and into the wheel and ripped the front wheel off the Velo while driving it. And I broke both of my wrists that day. So the issue with the loose engine, as you can see down here, is a nut. And that attaches to a plate that locks a bigger nut up here that is missing on this one, that actually holds the engine on. So it's still there on the other side. Maybe it's easier to see it over here. Well, it is actually quite difficult to access, but it is right in here. And we're just going to make sure that it's tight. You cannot tighten it or undo it without removing this or loosening this up, so this clip or retainer plate comes off, because that holds the big bolt in place. So what I'm going to do now is to remove the exhaust for better access. Oh, the number 9 is missing. The number 9 is always missing when you're trying to fix Velos for some reason. It just disappears. Number 9. Wow, it's a number 10. That's not original. Almost everything on a Velo is a number 9 in my experience. Well, of course not all things, but very many of the things. And you may wonder why my screwdriver is this long, and it's because it's a long one. In there is supposed to be a nut, and this plate right here that is secured with this nut should hold it in place, but this one has bent it outwards. So I think that's the reason why the bolt has shaken loose. So I'm going to remove that bracket and straighten it. The bracket, as you can see, it is bent, which means that it doesn't lock the nut. with this tab right here. So I'm gonna straighten it up. There we go, it's straight, so that will lock it. Well, it's not going to be as easy as hoped. It turns out that the rod down here, the thread, is stripped, and I need to change that. I also need to maybe change this plate because it's actually pretty deformed. This means that I will have to remove at least the inlet. I am tempted to just take the cylinder off, maybe also the fuel tank to get better access. So that is what I'm gonna do. I thought, oh, this is gonna be so much work because I have to take off the inlet and the carb. But really, being a Velo, it is quite simple. But it's always a bit fiddly to actually fit the tools because there's not a lot of room. So this leaves me with a bit more room to fix this issue. And really I'm gonna take off the entire engine because I need to change this plate, and it will be easier with the engine completely off. So I'm gonna take that off. I was not expecting this, to be honest, but even though it maybe sounds like a lot of work, it's not that bad. So this should be enough to actually remove this engine. Whoopsie, off. So I'm gonna change the entire bolt that goes in between here with the nuts on each side because it seems to be stripped right here. I'm also going to change this plate because that is also damaged. To get the rod out, I will have to take off either the ignition, or hopefully I can only take the tank off and access it. I really hope, because this is turning into a big project all of a sudden. But let's try to take off the tank. There we go. Oh, fuel is coming out. I didn't notice. Maybe I should get my smelling check. Next up, undo the nut on this side. I think that is going to be difficult because I suspect that it just wants to turn now. And of course, that is the case. But the fact is that the thread is broken, so I can just grab onto it with something and don't worry about the thread getting damaged, because I really don't want to take the ignition off. That will make this project a bit too big, to be honest. Okay, screw it, I'm gonna cut it. Like that. Easy peasy. Well, not really. And the rubber bushing is still good, so that's nice. So, and now I'm changing both of the side plates. And yeah, it turned out to be a little bit more complicated than expected. But very often that's the case with old stuff. And then there is a spring inside of here, and there's supposed to be one on the other side, and I thought I had one lying around, but I don't. So I'm just gonna have to tell them to order one of those and change that, because that is quite important to pull the engine onto the tire. So yeah, that would be a nice thing to find and fit. Everyone who ever worked on a Velo knows that this is pretty fiddly. There's not a lot of room, And really, I think you are meant to actually take the engine more apart for this to be easy to do, at least, because there is almost no room in here. Wow, this is so difficult. I'm having a feeling that I might end up, well, that I maybe actually have to take the engine more apart to actually get this lined up right, but let's see. Because now comes the difficult bit. I believe that everyone who fixes old stuff, especially French stuff, knows this kind of struggle, which is just seemingly impossible. I think some would even say that it is impossible, but it's not. Now it's on. Now I just need to actually do some stuff on this side as well. Get this one off, put the rubber in, like that. The metal ring, this, and then the nut. Put that one on. Now we should be able to actually tighten it up. And this assembly is actually what makes it possible for the engine to pivot onto the tire. And that's the turning is what makes them come loose. And to avoid that, this one is fitted on the mounting bolt over here. Oh no, is this one of the other types of... It is. They are not the same. They're bigger. God damn it. This is very unfortunate for me. I should have checked it actually, but I didn't know there was difference. But this is the old plate, and as you can see, the assembly holes is not lining up. So the plates that I have fitted now are the wrong ones. Apparently they changed them from 2200 to 3800. I didn't know that. I don't know if it would matter much, but this is not my moped, so I'm not gonna begin to modify it in any way. So what I'm gonna do is to take them off again and then fit the old ones. The old one of them is slightly oval. That is not ideal, but I will just have to tell them that they need to keep an eye out on that. I think it will last for a long time either way, but yeah. I'm gonna do that off camera because it's the same process as all the stuff that I have just done, and then take you back. Oh, after a lot of work. Well, it's not that bad, but still, it was a shame to change those to new ones and find out that they didn't really fit because of it was a slightly different size, and I don't know if it would matter, but I'm not gonna take the chance on a moped that is not mine. So I have installed the old one again. They are pretty worn in the hole up here, so they should maybe be changed at some point. But what I have done is I fixed the pivot thing down here that was missing, and yeah, it still need a spring, but this will work. Now comes the actual problem of getting it to run, but it's not gonna be today because it is completely pitch black outside. It's actually the middle of the night almost, and I was not expecting this to take this long, so yeah, I'm gonna continue on this another day. But